I mean, I want to be a great coach. I want to have a great program. I want to be number one, and I'm not afraid to say I want to be number one. I grew up in Humboldt, Iowa, which is farm country, northwest Iowa, small town, probably 5,000 people, so great place to grow up, and started wrestling at the age of 6 and getting an opportunity to actually, I remember when I got my first letter from the University of Iowa recruiting me, how excited I was. So it was a place that was first on my list. I took a lot of visits and took a lot of trips to see maybe where I'd go to school. But Iowa was the place that I really wanted to end up at. That was my dream and that was my focus. And you know, I went to Iowa to be a national champion. And so I reached my goal. It was a great run. I won 2 Big Ten titles and got to be an All-American twice, and it was a tough deal. I was one of those guys that didn't get in the lineup right away. I wasn't a starter. It took me, besides the redshirt year, 2 other years of sitting on the bench and being the bench warmer. So I feel like I made the most of it when I got in there by getting 4th and 1st. But you know, just a great experience and something that, of course, you'll always remember. Probably never knew I wanted to be a wrestling coach until about 2 years after my eligibility was up, and I was in Iowa City training and kind of deciding if I was going to maybe get into the real world, or I was traveling and competing internationally at that time. I walked into the office one day in Iowa City at the University of Iowa, where I had an office, and I had a note pinned up on a board, a bulletin board, to call this guy in Grundy, Virginia. And I called the number up, and they set up an interview, and they flew me to Bristol, and I was there for an interview for a weekend in July of 1988, and it was kind of at that point I realized that was the journey that I wanted to take, that I wanted to get into coaching. And I inherited a pretty successful high school program, so I was probably, or not probably, I was really spoiled in terms of what a high school program was like. I didn't realize until I actually left Grundy just how special Grundy was and just how special of an arrangement they had at Grundy. I was at Grundy for 8 seasons, and I decided after my 8th season that I was just ready to get out of wrestling. I really thought I was ready to get out of coaching. I met my wife, or who was going to be my future wife, and I completely took a different turn. Thought I was ready to be a businessman, got my insurance license, got my broker's license, and moved back to Iowa for 6 months. And while back in Iowa, I remember coming home one day and telling her that I'm not done with this wrestling thing. You know, I want to go back to Virginia. I think at that time you couldn't coach high school wrestling in Iowa without a teaching certificate, and I was never a teacher. And I knew I could do that in Virginia. And I love Virginia. I love Southwest Virginia. So obviously my job at Grundy was gone. So I chose Christiansburg because I'd actually spent some time in the New River Valley while I lived in Grundy. I had a lot of downtime while I was in Grundy, so I moved to Blacksburg and socialized here and golfed here and met a lot of people here, even in the athletic department at Virginia Tech. So I was going to Christiansburg was 180 degrees out from Grundy, in that there was very little support, had very few kids out for wrestling, had a very small youth program in place, but had some really good people that you know, were excited about wrestling. So it was much different than my Grundy experience. But it was very rewarding because, you know, the whole coaching staff, the whole community, the whole Christiansburg fan base really, you know, took ownership in building something from the ground up. You know, I think timing was probably was on my side for the college thing. I can't say that that was on my bucket list or my goal list to be a college coach. The job came open here actually in 2004, and I had some people approach me about it. So I applied, and it didn't work out. I wasn't the guy they chose. And then it came open again in 2006, and I was really at that point, to be quite honest, really almost ready to get out of high school coaching. I felt like I'd done just about everything I could do. I'm a goal-oriented guy, and I'd reached all my goals at the high school level. So I was really only going to probably stick in another year or so. I didn't know what the heck I was going to do, but I was probably only going to stick in another year or so. And then the tech job opened up, and I just looked at it as a tremendous challenge and a tremendous opportunity. And I knew coming in that the cupboard was bare, and it was maybe more than bare because we just didn't have a lot of guys that probably had the same focus or the same vision. Good guys, but just not the same focus and vision that the staff that I hired, the guys that we were going to recruit coming in. So it was all a process. I don't think there's anything wrong with coming out and saying you want to be great. I mean, I want to be a great coach. I want to have a great program. I want to be #1, and I'm not afraid to say I want to be #1. And I want guys that think like that. I want guys that come out and say, I'm here to be a national champ. I don't want guys that just want to be All-Americans. I want guys that want to be great. But with that comes a huge price and a huge commitment. So to me, my job is to graduate guys from a great institution. And my job in the athletic arena is to make guys All-Americans and to give them that feeling of national champs. So that's the most gratifying part of my job, is seeing guys graduate. And then on the wrestling side of things, the most gratifying thing to me is to see guys get up on that podium, because I just know how much it means to them to get up there. A lot of people use that as a boasting point with our program, that we've basically been in the top 10, and we've kind of established ourselves as a top 10 program. But I didn't take this to get 10th place or 8th place, so we gotta raise the bar. When I have free time, if I'm going to do anything, I'm kind of a self-improvement guy. I'm a self-improvement freak. I like quotes. I like stuff like that. So I think when you do that over time, I think you internalize it, and I think that's formed my personality. I don't think I've always been a super positive, upbeat guy. I think I've had to work at it like everything else, and sometimes that's hard when you're going through the grind. It's a crazy journey. There's crazy journeys out there. Everybody has a crazy journey. The longer you coach, the longer you compete. So, my path is probably a little unorthodox, but I've always been a little unorthodox and a little weird. So it probably fits for me because I'm weird, and it's probably a weird path. But I wouldn't do it different. Being a high school coach for 18 years prepared me for this job. I truly think that every college coach should do an internship and be a high school coach for some years, because it'll give you a true appreciation for all sides of it. It takes a lot of people to make a championship program, and I don't know if we're a championship program yet, but we're going in the right direction. But it's not just Kevin Dresser.